What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. Just before we get into it, once again, go and visit our website, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, for your latest Tottenham articles. We will be reacting to the best comments on there as well. So go and leave your comment. We'll be doing a video reacting to them, and the best ones will be getting free merchandise. So be in it to win it and leave that comment. But let's get straight into the Tottenham update. And let's start off with a positive injury update for Destiny Udogie, as Charlie says that Udogie has confirmed after a hamstring injury that forced him out of the latest Italy squad. He's feeling really good and will definitely be ready to face Aston Villa on Sunday. So that's music to all our ears.
Yeah, and we're going to need him because we have a depleted team. We need that pace back in the back line, which we were severely missing against Wolves in the last game. And he's not going to only improve us defensively, but going forward as well. Yeah, which we need that attacking threat. And who played the left back? Who played left back on
Emerson? It
was Emerson. Yeah, and him having to invert and cut inside really did hamper us when we're trying to get forward. So I'm delighted he's back, and there's been. He's had a few problems, hasn't he? It was interesting to hear him say he got injured in that Sheffield United game, and he's been kind of feeling something since then. So hopefully this 2-week break has really done him well.
Yeah, and I think it was definitely helped him to be out that Italy squad and get that complete rest. And in terms of what you're saying about Emerson, it was when he was kind of trying to invert and give us a presence in the midfield with his passing ability. It just let us down every single time with Emerson there. So I think Udogie is going to give us so many different facets now this weekend, from the defensive capabilities, the offensive capabilities, and also giving that control in the middle of the park as well. So I'm very excited about seeing Destiny this weekend. But we've got a few quotes from Udogie as well, which were quite interesting. The first one, he was talking about Cuti Romero. This was from an interview on The Athletic, and he says, this guy has no mercy. I remember in one of the first training sessions, I was playing inside as an inverted fullback. I controlled the ball, and from my back, boom, I said, wow. And Ivan Perisic was like, yeah, welcome to Spurs. And then he goes on to say, but Christian is a good guy because of the way he trains, is the way he plays. He's a great defender, one of the best for sure.
Yeah, and everyone says the same thing about Cuti. In training, he doesn't take any prisoners, does he? So it doesn't surprise me. And that's maybe as well, that level in training, when you're playing against such a good defender like Romero, and he's not giving you an inch in training, he's not letting up at all, that's only going to stand you in good stead. Once you get into the match situation, you're going to be playing defenders who maybe aren't even as good as Romero. So if you can handle Romero, it means you'll stand you in good stead for the actual match.
Yeah, Destiny's also talking about the song the fans have for him. I Want to Dance with Udogie, and he says, in the dressing room, they play this song and everyone sings along, and every game the fans sing it as well. It's really nice. So he's starting to feel that love from them, not only the players, but the fans as well.
And it's so great that the players are now taking on board. Like, I feel like it's the first time ever the players and the fans have been in tandem this much, because I feel like beforehand the players didn't take much notice of what the fans were saying or doing and stuff like that.
I'm not sure that's so true. Do you not remember, like, in that Champions League run, everyone, Musa Sissoko walks into the dressing room and everyone's singing, oh, Musa Sissoko.
Yeah, but he was, how long had he been a Spurs player then? Udogie's only just arrived, you know what I mean? So, like,
but I'm saying the players have taken the notice of the fans before in terms of the song.
What I'm saying is he had that song for a long time, and he'd been at the club for a long time, right? So obviously over the years that you take notice of that. Udogie's literally been in the team for a couple of months. Yeah, this song hasn't even like gone. Obviously the fans have started singing it, but it's not like a song that like you hear that much, like all the fans singing a lot, like in the stands. It's not something, I think the players have probably taken it from social media more than anything, and adopted it in the dressing room, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And I want to see a video of the dressing room.
It'd be great to see, to be fair.
Release the videos first.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think as well, like, all the players are now starting to have their own songs, and that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's something that we've needed to reinvigorate the fan base for a long time now, to be honest. And last couple of years, it's just been same old. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, and that's about it. And now with Ange coming in and Spurs song sheets doing such a great job on social media, you're really starting to see all these songs kind of spread about now, aren't you? And one more quote from Destiny on Ange Postecoglou, and he says, the first day I came in, he called me to speak with him and he told me I'm a key player for him. He explained what he wanted from me, and knowing I had the trust in the head coach was a big motivation.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying at the beginning of the season. Ange has really just given the trust to these younger players that he believes in them. He thinks they're good enough, and it doesn't matter if they make mistakes or they don't play like at 100% straight away, because the way we play, if he makes mistakes, he's going to take responsibility. And it's really given confidence to not just Udogie, but people like Sarr as well, people like Van de Ven, Vicario coming straight into the team. And that's why we're seeing such a high level of performance from them, because I think they just got that freedom from Ange to make mistakes and play their game. And I think Udogie has been one of the main beneficiaries of that way of playing.
Yeah, and on top of that, you know, like he was very central to James Maddison coming through the door as well. And you know, Maddison could have easily gone and chosen Newcastle, which at the end of last season looked like they were on a much better trajectory than Spurs. But with Ange coming in and him explaining what he wants to do, you know, he said to Maddison, no matter if you're here or not, you're going to see a much different Tottenham next season. And I think Maddison completely bought in to that first or second conversation with Ange Postecoglou. And I think every single player is completely bought in to the way he wants to play and the kind of atmosphere he's creating at this football club.
And I think you can see it on the pitch, just their willingness to try things, take people on in dangerous situations, even like they're near their own goal. Yeah. They'll take someone on, and that's because of how Ange has drilled it into them.
Yeah. And another quote from Ange, this time from Heung-min Son, and he says, "I have a very special relationship with the gaffer. The way he speaks makes me feel like a kid again. When he talks, I just want to go out there and play for him and play for the club. I feel that he is part of my family." And that's amazing words from Sonny. And this was from YouTube, from an interview with Men in Blazers. I think it got released yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, go and check that out on YouTube, because it's a really good interview.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, Sonny's had a lot to say on Ange. Obviously, Ange is the one who made him captain, and I think that he must be really grateful for the opportunity to be captain. And he's led the club so well. And Sonny's seen a few managers in his time at Tottenham. He's been
just
here for a while now. He's been quite a few. So the fact that Ange has come in and been able to make such an impression on him so soon is just says a lot about him.
Yeah. Another quote from Sonny from the same interview, talking about the captaincy, and he says, "As the captain, I don't want to be special. I don't want to look or feel special. I just want to be a good example, because we have such a young group of players, and as a young player, you always follow the captain of your team. If I'm a good image for the club, the players will follow in a good way, which is very important to me." And that's what you want to hear from your captain, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think other captains have led, or other leaders have different forms of leadership. And I think Sonny is definitely a one who not only leads by example, but he's also a friend to everyone. And he's there to clearly seems like someone you can talk to, but someone you can have a laugh with as well. There are some captains who just seem uber serious all the time and just like always on other players' backs, and that's their form of leadership. But Sonny does things in a different way, and I think that's the best way for this young group of players to be led by someone like Sonny.
He's kind of like the new age of captain, isn't he? I think that kind of like captain that you're talking about, I feel like that's kind of vanished out the game a little bit, to be honest. And Sonny is like, for me, like the most perfect new age kind of captain, where he leads by example. You can see him with the motivational stuff all around the pitch as well. He does these small things like take the players over to the away end to do huddles and stuff before the game, and he really gets the fans up for it. And on top of that, you know, he's a credit to the team in the way he scores his goal and how clinical he is and how much of a role model professional he is. So I think everything that he's done is done to perfection so far in terms of that leadership role.
And he does it all with a smile.
Exactly. In terms of Tottenham looking for defenders in this January transfer window, the Mail has said that Tottenham held a meeting this week to discuss defenders they could possibly sign in January. And those players are Crystal Palace's Mark Guehi, Everton's Jared Braithwaite, along with AC Milan's Malik Thiaw, and Morato of Benfica, and Gonçalo Ignacio of Sporting Lisbon as well, have all been tracked by Spurs. Out of those players, do any of them excite you? Or any of them think it's viable?
Yeah, I'm glad we got a list, though, that's for sure, because I think in previous windows, last window, you can even argue, like, we've maybe been lacking for real options that we've been going for, and sometimes we've been panicking. So I'm really happy that we're going into January with a set of targets. If we can't get this one, we got another one on the list. It's not a big deal, so I'm really happy about that. In terms of that list, Guehi, as his name keeps popping up, and I'm obviously a massive fan of him, I really can't see Palace letting him go in January for a fee that we would be willing to pay. I just can't see it. Same with Braithwaite. I actually like Braithwaite. He's actually had a really good season for Everton. He's really broken in and become a consistent start of his season. I know Godfrey and Holgate, they've been in and out the side sometimes. He's really taken their place and has really built a partnership with Tarkowski at the back there. So he's young as well, so he's definitely one to watch out for. I've been very impressed with him. But again, if Everton embroiled in a relegation battle, are they going to let him go for a fee that Tottenham are happy to pay in January.
We don't know the situation with Everton's finances and stuff like that, if they need to sell or not.
That's also good. Well, they've already got a points deduction. I don't know how much worse they can get for, you know what I mean? No,
they still need to keep in line with FFP, though.
You got a point, but if they sell him and then they get relegated, are they even more trouble? You know what I mean? So they have to balance it out, have to weigh up. In terms of the other players...
Depends if they want to risk another 10-point deduction.
Yeah, that's also true. But obviously it goes in 3-year cycles, so I think... They're only just about, I think they missed out by 20 million, which is why they got the fine. Depends, yeah. We'll have to wait and see in January, but maybe if they're cash strapped, maybe he could be a really good one. In terms of the other names you mentioned, I don't really know too much about them, but I'm glad that we're looking I wouldn't say outside the box, because players play for AC Milan and Sporting Lisbon. I'm sure they're known by most clubs in European football, but young centre-backs who are looking to challenge the Romero and Van de Ven, I think that's a really good sign.
The one I know the most about is probably Gonçalo Ignacio of Sporting Lisbon. I think he's actually a really good defender, a young player coming through at Sporting Lisbon, a bit similar to like Pedro Porro, you know, the way we signed him. I think, though, you're probably going to have to spend at least 30-40 million plus to get him, to be honest. And it just depends how much we are looking to spend in January on a centre-back. I can't imagine it being more than 25-30 million, to be honest. So we'll have to see how that goes. But this was an interesting one because Dan Kilpatrick did an article on Spurs' data-led recruitment. And I've got a snippet from it here. And it says, Spurs contract some of their data crunching success to an external London-based company which specializes in sports intelligence, but also have a number of specialists in-house who compile targets based on specifications from the manager and pass recommendations onto the recruitment team. Like most clubs, Tottenham Spurs have a short list of 10 to 15 players in each position, all with impressive underlying performance data. When Spurs finally picked a new technical director in Johan Lange, the Dane track record at using data at Aston Villa and his other former clubs was key to the reasons of why he was hired. Lange has assumed a leading role in continuing to rebuild the squad in Postecoglou's image, with work well underway to identify targets for the January transfer window after the head coach called for Spurs to change tack by doing business early in the winter window. So we'll see very clearly if that has changed or not when January comes around. But in terms of the shortlist of 10 to 15 players, I mean, that's something that Don Paratici brought in, isn't it? Because we knew when Paratici was here, he was just doing deals left, right and centre, and then whichever one we actually favoured for, he went for at the time.
Well, I think that's different. I think what they're saying is different to what you're describing, because what Paratici would have is, we would have a list of targets, he would agree deals for a lot of them, and then he would like pull the trigger on the target that they decide on. That seems to me like they've got a list of loads of players in position who fit the profile, and then they basically see who's available in the coming windows. I think it's not that different, but it's a slightly different approach from what you're talking about in terms of like, that seems to me more like what Brighton were doing. Like they would have a player in each position. It just seemed like if they lose a player, they've got a list of players in each position that can replace them with that profile, and it's not too big of a deal.
Well, I think that was very similar to what Paratici was doing. I know maybe he was talking to a lot of people and doing the deals at the same time, but he still had that list of players that can probably fit the profile in each specific position.
I don't know if that was like a data-led. What I'm saying is I don't know what Paratici was. All the things in his options, were they all like data-led profile approaches?
Yeah, that might be the difference.
Exactly, I'm saying. Or was it just Paratici's choices of players, and then he'd just pick, then they'll discuss it and pick one. But in terms of like what you're describing, obviously I'm really happy with what you're saying, with that report.
I'm happy to bring it to you as well.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the data, but this is 2023. This should be done like 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
There's no point going over the past. We're here now. We're here now. We're in a good way.
We're finally entering the 21st century. It's like, I'm sure. How can you only be implementing this stuff in 2023? It does seem we must be quite behind, unless we have been doing stuff similar, and only now we're kind of reporting it to seem like we're at the forefront of data stuff.
It has been reported by previous people that have been at the club how they've tried to bring in heavily data-led approaches. I think AVB was saying it not long ago, and maybe the club weren't interested and they just wanted to go in a different way. But it's finally good to see that they're listening to people and they're putting these actions in place.
Well, actually, AVB said the opposite. He said they wanted to go more data-driven.
Spurs wanted to go more.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I thought it was the other way around.
He said they wanted to go more data-driven, but he wanted Moutinho, who was fourth on the list of for the data, and he wanted Moutinho, but Spurs were more interested in going for Dembele and other players who are better on the data or something. So, but he said,
so we're saying Spurs have got it right all this time.
But he said like Moutinho has things like leadership and his influence in the dressing room, which data can't really track. So it's interesting. I also remember reading a report I can't remember where it was from, who was saying that back into the mid 2000s, Tottenham were really like at the forefront of the data-led approach. So I don't know what happened, like maybe over the between like last year and maybe the 10 years preceding that, why we maybe went away from that. But
wasn't Franco Baldini very like data-led?
I mean, not by the signings he made, but I don't know, maybe. But I think maybe the
not Baldini, Arneson. I think it might have been.
I think maybe the case is like the amount of data available to you now and that you can get and that is collated and collected is a lot better than it was. So maybe I think probably what the case was is 15 years ago we probably were at the forefront, but we didn't kind of update our approach, and then we ended up falling behind, and now we're really upping our data.
And that's what happens when you just keep chopping and changing. If you stick to a recruitment policy and you go through with it all the way through, you're going to see more success than what we have been doing over the last 15, 20 years, and just chopping and changing every few years and going through different kind of avenues and different routes every single time. That's what it comes down to.
And I'm really excited about Johan Lange as well. I think he can be really good for us.
Well, it's all going to become very clear in the beginning of January. The first 2 weeks of January, if we don't have a centre-back in already by then, something's not going right. So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know your best comments on this article in the comment section below on the website and on YouTube as well. So leave your comment on both. But thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.